Live at lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Rufino's on Highland Road. Welcome to the Friday edition Live at Lunch. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. I'm Charles Hannegriff. Jimmy Ott and Max Gotro on vacation today. Jordan Kinchin's back in the studio, and here on site with us is our good friend Shea Dixon from On 3. Shea, how you doing, man?
I forget to put the headphones on and the mic down.
Yeah,
it's been a minute since we sat out here.
Coaching. Usually I got you on the phone from somewhere. You are, of course, here to spend most of the show talking about LeBron James, right?
We just saw that. Well, it was just asked by us here at Rufino's how old he was.
And he's.
You were correct. 43.
41. He's going to be 42 during the season.
I said 42.
Yeah, he's going to Philadelphia. I got that one right. For 2 years, and basically he's playing for free.
He got the Coach O deal.
Yeah, he did.
2 years, $8 million.
If you've got a contract offer on the table from somewhere else for 10 times what that is, which I think he could have gotten somewhere, you got other things on your mind. He's made enough money. I think he's looking at the situation, and with the rest of the team they got, you got an All-NBA center when he's healthy, which is 2 or 3 times a month. You got a really good backcourt. You brought Jaylen Brown in. You got a championship coach. Yeah, they'll probably be fine. That's not what I brought you in to talk about today, but it did just hit the national wires here in the last hour. So how's your summer been? What has been occupying your time?
You got to get down to watching not even G League, Summer League games right now to find some sports once the World Cup got through. So
that's why they put SEC Media Days this week, right?
Yeah, brought us.
It was perfect as the World Cup ended, SEC Media Days began, and now they're over. So after 4 days of watching what went on in Tampa and listening to Lane Kiffin yesterday, what did you take out of it?
Well, you've been waiting on this.
Oh, the
LSU with 9 players.
Okay, we knew that this was going to drop somewhere during the first segment, so let's just start here with the all league teams and the predictions. So I haven't seen this yet. We knew it was going to drop right near the top of the show. So can I guess? You're sitting here looking at it.
What would you like to guess? You could do the SEC champion order.
Let me do predicted order of finish. Again,
Okay.
This dropped a minute ago.
1 second ago.
All right. I'm going to say.
I'll tell you this.
Go ahead.
The votes are 25-19, 24-49 for 1 and 2. So essentially split.
I'm going to say that the media voted Texas to win the conference.
Georgia.
Okay. I would have picked
Georgia 25-19, Texas 24-49.
Okay.
So
all right.
Probably some more Athens media drove over to Tampa than Texas.
I can make an argument either way. Georgia's won it the last 2 years. They certainly know what the deal is.
It sounded like you were leaning Texas.
I was leaning Texas for the pick. I don't know necessarily that they're going to win it, but I thought that they would be the pick. I'll be honest with you. I thought that the Arch Manning factor that they would be picked. If you're asking me who I think will win it, I actually have a little bit of a different I have a different team. I think if I was forced to put, we're going to talk about odds later in the show to win the thing, I think probably the value bet might be Texas A&M. Returning quarterback, coaching his third year now, was right there on the doorstep a year ago for 11 weeks. They were pretty good. I know they had to come back and beat South Carolina. And then the whole thing went to pieces in the last 2 games. They lost to Texas, and then they lost to Miami at home. But a lot of times you'll get teams that get close, get into that rejuvenate the motivation level for you, and that's when you end up popping a title. And A&M's never won this thing. So if I had to bet on it, that might be the best value. Are they third?
They are in SEC. Well, let's stick to predicted order finish.
Okay. That's what I would have
They
predicted.
are not third, but the 3 through 7, Third place, 2,004 votes, or total points in this voting.
Yeah.
Seventh place, 1914. So everyone between 7 and 4 is above 1,900.
Then if it's not A&M, it's got to be Ole Miss at number 3.
So you're looking at Georgia, Texas by a margin.
Okay.
And then Ole Miss. And then you're right here in this whole mix of teams. A&M is next.
Yeah. Oklahoma.
And then after that, 6 points behind A&M, LSU.
LSU. Okay. So A&M, LSU, Oklahoma right after that?
Yep. And those are – so you're at 7. So that is the teams that got more than 1,900
I'm
points.
a touch surprised that LSU is ahead of Oklahoma. They seem to be getting a lot of love.
31 votes.
Their quarterback's coming off of a less serious injury than what LSU's quarterback is, and they're also not going through a coaching change. So I would have, when I woke up this morning, would have said Oklahoma would be predicted in front of LSU, which does not mean I think that they're necessarily going to finish in front of LSU, but that they would have been picked in front of LSU. So Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss, A&M, LSU, Oklahoma. So fifth place finish.
8th, Tennessee, which a lot of people think people could be sleeping on. Not in the way A&M is a much better team.
It's one of the scarier games on LSU's schedule for me because of where it is. And I don't mean that it's in Knoxville, although that's part of it. I mean that it comes right after Alabama and Texas. But I don't know I don't know what the kind of quarterback play Tennessee is going to get. So that if LSU were playing Tennessee in let's say they were playing them where they're playing Ole Miss, I'd feel a lot better about LSU's chances. In November, it's more of an I don't know. LSU 7th, and who'd you say was 8th? I'm sorry, Oklahoma was 7th, and then after that, Tennessee.
Bama was 6th, I guess. If we
skipped over
past them, but understandably.
They are being overlooked?
Again, these are the media voting
this
week at SEC Media Days, across the 4 days, as Charlie said.
Media rarely gets this right.
Now that it's over. Yeah, I think the hit rate's like 0 probably, huh? And minus the Bama years.
I think the media's winning percentage on picking the actual champion is somewhere in the 20 to 25% range since they've been doing this. And I went to this thing enough times and voted enough times. It usually goes the other way. So it's bad news for Georgia, I guess.
All right. So 16-team SEC, obviously. You've got your way through. After LSU at 5, Bama, Oklahoma, Tennessee.
Bama's in front of Oklahoma, too. Okay.
9 and 10. Again, LSU, Bama, and Oklahoma here is separated by 20 votes.
It gets tougher at this point because now you're talking about either coaches on the hot seat or first-year coaches. So I'm going to say after Tennessee, let me take a shot here and go with Missouri because of the schedule.
And I like their 10. I think that they should be at. You could argue they could be 9, but that's 10 when you have a returning coach who was coveted by a number of programs, at least they've won.
Interested, coveted.
Okay, interested, sure.
Yeah.
What I'm saying
underrated
is
coach.
Sure, he's
I
not
think
part of this revolving door that you're talking about. He's outlasted that. They've stabilized.
So then I got to find a team in front of Missouri.
It is a new coach.
Florida.
It is Florida.
Okay.
Now those top 10 teams are the only ones with more than 1,000, and Missouri had 1,100 points in this voting. So now you're getting into exactly what you described: hot seat or first-year coaches, and in one team's case, that's not the case.
I'm going to say 11 South Carolina.
It is
because of Lenore Sellers. Now you're really getting into it.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter anymore. Well, I'll say this: the team that finished 12th. The next 4 teams barely got. You're talking
Auburn,
scrapping for votes.
Auburn at 12?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And then that leaves South Carolina, Arkansas, Vandy, and Kentucky.
You got South Carolina.
I'm sorry. That leaves
Auburn.
That leaves Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Mississippi State, and Kentucky. Okay. I'm going to say Kentucky's last.
No.
Mississippi State?
It's Arkansas. And
Arkansas.
So
you can throw those 3 and a half.
The final 4 here are after Auburn. Vandy 751. And they return a coach who, I guess you could also say people were interested in, whatever you want to call it. But then Kentucky, then State. State got 467 points, votes, however you want to call it. Arkansas 262.
It's a bad
for Silverfield's
That's a
first
bad
year.
roster.
Yeah.
He was a little. I don't want to say he was testy yesterday, but you could tell he was feeling a little bit of the disrespect, and you got to fight back against that. If you're look, we laughed at Clark Lee, right, when he said, "Hey, listen, we can make a contender here. We can contend at Vandy." It's like, yeah, sure you can. Well, then they beat Alabama, then they beat LSU, they almost beat Texas, and they won 10 games. So he actually, backed up a lot more of that statement than you would have figured that he would be able to.
Okay, so I'll give it to you here again, Charlie, or
give it
the
to
top five, and you look at it and tell me if you're surprised anymore. We're looking Georgia, Texas splitting the votes basically to be number one, but Georgia getting it.
So let me do this as we go. I'm slightly surprised, not overwhelmingly surprised, that Texas was not in front of Georgia because of the Manning factor, but okay. Ole Miss at 3, I'm a little surprised there because you have a coaching change. I would have flipped A&M and Ole Miss, and then I'm a little
gap 3 to 7 isn't much. So
right,
you would say that people consider that to be a group of teams.
Sure. I'm a little surprised LSU is at 5. I would have figured they would have been 6 or 7. I would have thought Oklahoma would have been in front of them. And you talked about the Georgia media. The Alabama media is, pretty thick as well. I would have probably had LSU at 6 and either Alabama or Oklahoma in front of them, but close. And
then you get a major drop-off after 7.
And I do think Tennessee's the best of the rest of this. And, again, I'm gonna hold off on the quarterback play. But their quarterback situation is – no worse than anybody underneath them except for South Carolina, because I still believe in Sellers, even though last year wasn't everything that you wanted.
It went so bad in the portal for Tennessee at quarterback.
Yes.
Well, and at edge, I guess.
And they clung to the idea that Aguilar was going to come back for quite a while.
Too long.
Yeah, I mean, you cover this stuff every day in the portal and in recruiting. What was that the biggest?
I think that was it. Became clear in the portal because it moves so fast. It's a 2-week window, right?
Yeah.
But really, it's a month of tampering, a couple weeks of live action, and then a couple more weeks of kids still undecided.
You mean that there's tampering that goes on?
The storyline. Roughly when most teams started filling up, everyone looked around and was like, "Oh, it's musical chairs," and it was Tennessee. Where's your quarterback? So that's
a fair
everyone
question.
Everyone then said they held on too long to that hope of Aguilar because remember, Lane flew to Knoxville. Leavitt was on his Tennessee visit.
If they would have had clarity on Aguilar, does Leavitt sign with Tennessee before Kiffin even gets there? Remember, he had already been here.
Yes. I mean, you could make the case if you're Tennessee. They've got money.
They would believe that.
I mean,
because Kiffin had to look. This whole thing could have gone very, very differently for 3 schools, right? If LSU had gotten Brendan Sorsby, who they wanted, and Leavitt had gone to Tennessee, and I don't know what happens, at Texas Tech at that point. Maybe nothing. Maybe they just go with the guys they got now. That's what they got to do anyway.
I think they have a fine quarterback situation. They just spend money. Well, he's coming off injury too, but they wanted one of the best.
Yeah.
But the LSU was hosting Sorsby out of the gate. Like it was like a Friday, Saturday, and he goes to Tech, commits, doesn't visit LSU. Then it was get Leavitt on campus. Then while Leavitt's on campus, the news of the Washington quarterback potentially entering the portal breaks.
That was about a 48-hour.
And that, I think at the time, LSU felt like, oh boy, like did this rock the boat with the Leavitt side to the point where now he's going to go to Tennessee or Miami. And then at that same time, like very quickly, Jed Fish was like, no, he's not entering the portal, or he's paying us this $4 million or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then it became him putting out a statement, I'm not going anywhere after whatever amount of time, which then led to Lane realize I got to fly up to Knoxville now and immediately get Leavitt.
All this time, there are 0 quarterbacks on the LSU roster.
They got 3 in like 48 hours.
Yeah. Oh, they had to.
Yeah. It was a Monday to Wednesday stretch.
You think he slept that week? I mean, when he got on the plane to go to Knoxville, it's like, if we don't get this guy, this is
Kiffin and
we're in a
Plains,
bind. Man. Yeah.
Yes, there was.
They were going to be in a
and
real
he was
fix.
Trying to stop also him from. He would have loved him not to visit Miami that weekend. Miami was coming off of a national
about Miami.
championship
Yeah.
game. They were playing that weekend, or they had just played, and he was going straight to Miami, and they ended up not doing anything there. You can't not had Lane Kiffin never flown to Knoxville in between those 2 stops. I don't think things would have been smoothed over.
I'm going to steal one of Hunt's segments. He does What If Wednesday. We're going to do What If on
that
this.
Mensa would be LSU's quarterback?
Well, wouldn't that be the next thing? That's what Miami did.
Yeah.
Certainly Lane Kiffin's smart enough to figure that out.
I mean, Miami just said, hey, look, we got an open quarterback spot. Who's willing to take it? And very much like Mensa left Tulane for Duke, it was like he just announced he was coming back to Duke.
And with
it
all the
like,
stuff
okay,
with all the stuff that was going on with Kiffin at the time, this would have been a whole nother story, because the Washington story, which was here for a nanosecond, it seemed like.
but that nanosecond was, wow, the Levitt's on campus.
Okay, so if Levitt goes to Miami, then Kiffin's got to go back to court, because it's easy to forget now, but Mensa had to go get out of that contract at Duke, and there was a question about, are they going to hold his feet to the fire? How ugly is this going to get?
Yeah.
I think he paid him back some, but not all of it. The receiver ended up following him down there the next day. Lane Kiffin would have had to jump right back into the headlines if Levitt was at Miami or
Those
Tennessee.
are far bigger headlines, too. I mean, people who know that Kiffin flew to Knoxville for Levitt are LSU fans and some SEC, your SEC fans. Your average college football fan knew about that kid who left once again, because remember, it was big news when he left Tulane for Duke, because the number came out. It was like, wait,
right.
Duke's paying him. Like, all right, this is free agency. And then Miami comes off a national championship knowing they have NIL money and openly saying, all right, Sam Levitt went to LSU. We don't have a quarterback who wants it. And then that became the storyline again of, is this legal? Are we hiding anything at this point? Like, that was the storyline again. That would have been way worse for Kiffin's image and LSU's image than
yes,
the
brief
nanosecond Washington.
They would have made it. They would have made it even more negative. And right after this, and you probably got the timeline in your head because you lived through all of this.
This is all like 7 days of action.
Yeah. Did you sleep? I don't. You probably
not
didn't sleep
very
very much. Going out to get a starting quarterback for LSU, they had a pot full of money.
Yeah.
Okay. Whether it was going to be Sorsby or Levitt, or if they'd had to go to Mensa or whatever. But then, was it 2 or 3 days later, they got Longstreet?
It was all within 48 hours. Clark and Longstreet. Clark coming, and Landon Clark was coming from the FCS level, but Michigan wanted. There were a lot of teams that wanted him as their backup. Like, number 2 guy come in, he commits. Levitt commits. Longstreet knows Levitt and Clark are committing, and still, what world 5 years ago would we have said the number 2 quarterback in the country 2 years ago, who is not a bust, who was a great California high school player, went to USC to play for Lincoln Riley, and after a year said, I'm better off being at LSU with Lane Kiffin under the exact same quarterback trajectory. I mean,
as a backup, there were places, I can't tell you how many, but enough.
Anyone would have paid him to start.
Yes, how many places could Longstreet have? Start right there. How many different teams would have brought him in to start this year? I think high double digits. High double digits.
Everyone on this bottom half of the SEC that didn't have a quarterback.
Everybody but South Carolina.
Yes,
pretty
correct.
Much would have brought him in. So LSU, preseason number 5 out of the SEC rankings. We'll do the all-league teams when we come back. It is Restaurant Week here at Ruffino's. I can speak to this because my wife and I were here earlier this week. It was our anniversary. We enjoyed.
Happy anniversary!
Oh, thank you very much. We enjoyed the Manhattan filet with the blue cheese crust and the buffalo roasted potatoes, which is one of your courses that you can pick from. If you're more something a little bit lighter, the bacon crusted grouper. If Jimmy were here, that's what he would order with the sweet corn puree. The pork chop a la vodka, the crispy bone-in pork cutlet with the vodka tomato cream. The first course, we tried this shrimp and gazpacho, which the gazpacho was it's a really, really spicy sauce. They've got the red and the green and the roasted corn salsa on that as well. Oven post roasted pork bellies with the marinated peaches and the blistered shishito peppers. Careful on how you say that. Another one of your first courses. And the dessert features the Italian cheesecake with the graham cracker crust, which I'm sure was great, but I had to get the pistachio cannoli. Pistachio cream and semi-sweet chocolate. Fantastic. 3 courses for $60 here at Ruffino's for Restaurant Week. And all of those things that I just mentioned are available a la carte on today's lunch menu as well. So you can come on into Ruffino's here on Highland Road. Live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Don't forget our friends at Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown, your law firm for a lifetime. You get in a car accident like I did, it's just it's not fun. So pick up the phone, call 343-1111. You can go to the website at ocbrown.com, and you can schedule it there. As soon as you pull up the main page, it'll direct you accordingly. It's easily. And that's what we never charge for that initial consultation. If you get in a car accident, you need it. Everybody knows that, and we'll take care of that. We'll pay for your doctor bills, set up the doctor bills, just eliminate as much of the stress and inconvenience that goes along with this. And that's where Dana comes in, especially negotiating with the insurance companies, which there's an art involved in that. So do like I did when I got into a car accident. Call our friends at Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown, your law firm for a lifetime, 343-1111 at ocbrown.com.
Live at lunch with Odd and Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Show's available on demand, 1045ESPN.com, LouisianaSports.net. Brought to you by Supreme Rice, celebrating 90 years in business in 2026. Support our Louisiana farmers. Go to SupremeRice.com. All right, LSU 6th by the predictions out of SEC Media Days. Fifth out of Media Days. Now we'll take a shot at the all-league teams. Shea, Dixon from On 3 is our guest today. Shea's seen the team. I have not. So let me take a shot at this. I'm going to say Trey Des Green is on the first team.
He is.
Okay.
One of 2 LSU first team on offense.
Then I'm going to say Jordan Seaton is the other one.
Is your left tackle. So
okay.
Tight end and left tackle.
All right. On defense, this is a little bit tougher, I think.
If I tell you how many, it gives it away. I would think. 2 on offense, 2 on defense.
Okay. Then if it were me voting, I would vote for T.J. Daugherty.
Really?
Well, he led the league in tackles last year. I know he's changing teams.
Devon Keys was second.
He was. So did they go with the guy that led the league in tackles last year, the guy that led the league in tackles 2 years ago, which was with Weeks? Or he might have been a fraction off, but he's right there. So Weeks?
Weeks makes it.
Okay.
That's a name vote, right? I mean,
it is because if
he's healthy, you know what he is.
Sure, and he's not coming off of as strong a year last year as he was from the year before. So that, what I'm saying is, if I'm voting on last year's performance, which is usually what this is about, I'm voting for Daugherty because of what he did last year. I think if you put them side by side and you put their careers, they're kind of equal, but I understand Daugherty's.
Weeks was also at Media Days, so he's front and center again. Sure. He's talking to people about the team.
Okay. So if Weeks is there and Daugherty's not, then I know who I would.
I'll give you this. Daugherty was third team.
Third team. Okay. I hate the overuse of the term disrespect. I think that's a little disrespectful to him. You led the league in,
and they put 3 linebackers on it.
So you found 6 linebackers better than the guy that led the league in tackles last year?
I
mean, okay,
the
but
guy with the well, at least listed. I don't know if these aren't by votes, but I don't think they're in order alphabetical either. Used to play at LSU. Xavier Atkins, Auburn linebacker. Stuck in no man's land, but still didn't transfer.
Okay, I'm gonna keep citing that
for
stat
people
that
who
led
know
the
the SEC and know defense. Okay, so Xavier Atkins from Louisiana, Biles from Texas is your other first-team linebacker.
Can I guess the other LSU guy first?
Yeah,
Is it-
I mean,
Is it DJ Pickett?
no.
Is it Ty Benefield?
No.
Okay, well, those are the two that I
No,
would've-
you're-
those are the two I would have voted for. It's Daughtery's on the third team.
This guy joins Colin Simmons and Dylan Stewart on the list.
Okay.
Principal.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm looking at my LSU roster from last
Yeah.
year.
So the
okay,
shakeup got
sure.
you there.
Okay, that makes sense. Right at the top of the.
So
the
really, you
exact-
just you were debating
So they're
one Ole
giving-
Miss transfer and another. It was
They're giving
in there, too.
Uman Mielen credit for last year more so than Daughtery.
Yeah, clearly.
On this
I
thing.
mean,
Okay.
he was 9.5 sacks or whatever it was, 9 sacks. But yes, you're right. The three other, Raylene Wilson at Georgia, Centrine Perkins at Ole Miss, Kip Lewis at Oklahoma, and then you get to Daughtery and Yanze Pierre and Aaron Carter.
All right, so give
13.
me the rest of the second and 13 guys before I embarrass myself.
Okay, so for LSU,
Yeah.
only one more on offense, and it's a third-teamer, and I thought this was a little disrespectful. It's Braylon Moore at center. I think he's one of LSU's best players.
Sure.
It was panic mode last year, and they thought he might miss a game.
They
and
didn't have a
nobody's
lot-
talking about
Right,
him
they didn't have a lot of great options.
We-
At that. Even though they had a guy that had
you can
started
quickly
in
forget,
Chester.
though,
Yeah.
if someone's not rolling the ball to your immobile quarterback at all times, how valuable a center is.
Right.
But that's it. You got two on the first-team offense, Tradez and Jordan Seaton, and then you got a third-teamer in your center. A lot of other turnover anyhow, so beyond your quarterback not being on the list,
Right.
which goes Trinidad, Arch, Gunner.
Yeah. That's how it should be. I can tell you I would not have been following the floor
We could have
shocked
sat here and
if
made you
Manning
guess
would've gotten
Arch or
it.
not, but Georgia, that was the Georgia-Texas was the predicted order. Here's
I'm not my
your flip of it.
My normal radio partner here for the last 15, 20 years would have told you that it should be Trinidad Chambliss over Arch Manning. I would not have argued that one bit. That's how it should be. Chambliss had a great year last year. His team got all the way to the national semifinals. They were an eyelash away from playing for the national championship. He came from out of nowhere. He had a great year. He had a much better year than Arch Manning. That being said, I would not have been shocked if Manning would have been the first-team quarterback, but he shouldn't have been. It should be Chambliss.
They don't put votes on here either, so we don't know how close this is. It could have been a vote. But those three are not surprising. And they're only putting, we're talking about 9 linebackers on here, and Daughtery having to being behind 6 guys. It's not like Levitt's behind 7 quarterbacks here.
Sure.
Just Chambliss, Manning, and then Gunnar Stockton, who's a super polarizing quarterback in the mind of many, I think, in terms of just how good he is, or is it the system, or does it matter type of thing.
Stetson Bennett, did just fine over there.
He's better than Stetson Bennett is.
He's more physically talented than Stetson Bennett did, but Stetson Bennett had the knack for making a big play when they needed it. And you can argue, did Gunnar Stockton in the games where they absolutely had to have it last year against Alabama and Ole Miss, the second Ole Miss game, did he deliver? Now, the end of the Tennessee game, he made some unbelievable throws where they came from behind, if you remember, and ended up winning that game that they had no business winning. Tennessee should have won that day. He was great that day, but there were other times where I like him. I don't think he's God's gift to Southeastern Conference football, but I think you can win with him. I think he's good. Do I think he's great? Do I think he's an NFL guy? Probably not, but I think he's good. What do you think?
He was the number 1 quarterback in the country when he was like a sophomore in high school. I think he finished top
Smallest
3.
school, right?
Yeah, and he's smaller, and I think that was always the knock, was that he was kind of tapped out from where he's at, but they win.
Hey,
you win.
Yeah.
We're going to get into the Jalen Brunson debate here. Well, he wins everywhere he goes, so you know what I'm saying? But
I didn't have any problem when they gave Jalen Brunson the MVP of the finals.
Me either.
What he did in the last game.
Are you surprised here at offense that it's just Trey Des and Jordan Seaton and then Braylon Moore, third team, or is there not enough firepower there for you to think that beyond your quarterback, who no one was putting him above these three kids?
No, really, there's not. I can't make a case for the running backs over the running backs that are on this list. I can't make a case for a couple of the wide receivers were, good somewhere else, but not really.
Cam Coleman is your first team with Ryan Coleman-Williams. So
I can't make a case for the other offensive. No, Levitt's the next guy, and he's coming off of an injury. So no, I'm not. On the defensive side, like I said, I think Daughtery's underrated, and I'll make this prediction that when they do the postseason all-conference teams, Ty Benefield will be on it, and DJ Pickett will be on it. That's what I'm expecting out of them.
That would be as your normal co-host would give you some odds here. I don't know what they'd be, but they're next up. They're your two second-teamers from LSU. So that's not a far-fetched thing to believe.
They were both second team.
They're your second-teamers.
Okay.
So DJ Pickett at corner with Kelly Jones from State, and Ty Benefield and then Eli Bowen at Oklahoma. But Benefield coming in from Boise State has been maybe the most talked-up player of the offseason for LSU beyond Seaton and Levitt, and really just Levitt's presence and health, and then Seaton's body development and the realization that you have a left tackle like that. But you've got Benefield, who came out of relative obscurity to any LSU fan, tore it apart at Boise State, and now everyone at LSU is like, this kid is next level.
It's the second year in a row that we went out to the first practice, and I think I was standing – I don't think I know. I was standing right next to you when we saw A.J. Halsey for the first time. It's like, okay, that kid can play. I thought – and they're different type of players, but I thought the same thing about Benefield. The first time we saw him out there, it's like, okay, he fits.
So at DB, Bolden at Georgia, Xavier Brown at Bama, Bray Hubbard at Bama, and Ellis Robinson the fourth. At Georgia. Everyone knows who those guys are. Those are your first teamers. So Pickett and Benefield, Pickett going into his sophomore year, split reps with P.J. Woodland a year ago. Both got their feet wet.
Yeah.
Opposite Delane. Now both are going to start. I think this is the media paying attention. I mean, Benefield doesn't get second team on this list because of the reasons these other guys did, which was playing in the SEC last year and these people knowing who they are.
One real quick thing before we go to break on the special teams. I thought Grant Chadwick was sort of all over the place last year as a punter.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't give you any of that.
Is he?
He is your first team punter.
First team, okay. You get some different opinions. When he was good, he was very good. But there were times where it wasn't as good. LSU brought in another punter. I suspect Chadwick is the.
I would have to think so.
But
your first team.
They brought in another punter. He's got 2 years of eligibility left. Okay, they brought in another punter with the special teams coach from Florida to provide some competition. I think Chadwick's fine, but there were some moments last year. There's some stats that weren't as good as maybe you had hoped. First team punter, and there's only one punter. So. Okay, very good. We are also brought to you by the Thibodeau Store, the Pierre Part Store. Right now, save up to 50% on lawn and garden essentials. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. Hoses, garden tools, potting saws, seeders, and spreaders, all of them available right now at deals up to 50% off. Don't forget about your outdoor cooking equipment and all of the accessories, cordless power tools, outdoor power equipment, patio and poolside furniture available at the Thibodeau Store. Lumber, if you are building on your property, all of your building supplies available through the Thibodeau Store. They'll deliver your lumber out of either Pierreport or Lockport, whichever one is closest. Need some fishing gear. Going down to the coast, Thibodeau Store, 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodeau. Pick up lots of fishing gear. Homemade cypress furniture, including swings and benches, gliders, all of them available at the Thibodeau Store. Online, all four sites, all four locations you can get to at thethibodeaustore.com. Live at lunch from Rufino's, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Yes, don't forget our friends at Go Chevrolet in LaPlace, Go Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Plaquemine, Go Chevrolet West in Plaquemine, and Go Ford in Waveland, Mississippi. My buddies Lee Carney and Nick Richard doing a wonderful job. Mention my name, Jimmy Ott, for VIP pricing. Whether you're in the market for a new vehicle or a pre-owned vehicle with extension of the factory warranty. We have a certified body shop as well, and our concierge service department. There's nothing like it. You talk about convenience on a different level. I don't just talk about the great vehicles from the Go Automobile Dealership family. My Tahoe came from Go Chevrolet in LaPlace. The Go Automobile Dealership family.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Going on Celebrate Restaurant Week here at Rufino's, 3 courses for $60, and well worth it having a chance to dine here earlier this week, and looking forward to after the show today with Chef Patrick, new dad, but he has put together another fantastic menu here for Restaurant Week. Shea, you had a question that had come off of one of your online boards at On3 that you wanted to run by at this point.
Yes, shout out to a regular poster here. Let's click back to exactly where we're at. But the question we talked about, what was the order? Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss. We're all just a little bit ahead of the rest. And then in the SEC media's votes for predicted order of finish.
Yeah.
But then 4 to 7 or 4 to 8, whatever it was, are all separated, and we're talking 2,000 votes right here.
Yeah.
All separated by 50 votes, 40 votes, 20 votes. Is this, he asked, America's 1775, which just got celebrated?
Yeah.
Is this the most competitive the SEC's been since 2010? And you immediately went to the Urban Meyer, Florida time frame.
Yeah, because in 2010, I don't know why I picked 2010, but okay.
And Urban was the head coach. That was year 6.
That was his last year there. And you're coming off of Alabama and Florida had played in the SEC championship game in 08 and 09. Florida beat them in 08, won the national title. In 09, Alabama won the SEC championship game, won the national title. That was Tebow's last year. So now I'm thinking about 2010. You think about 2010, what was the first – if we were going to do this in the summer before the 2010 season, nobody could possibly have predicted Cam Newton would have the type of year he had. He had a season for the ages, and Auburn won the whole thing.
One of the best I've ever seen in person.
Yeah, I don't know that when – I don't remember specifically media days in 2010, but I do know that nobody expected Cam Newton to do that. Florida dropped off that year. It was the first year post-Tebow. It was Urban Meyer's last year. He had health problems. I can say that because Jimmy's not here to snicker because he ended up back at Ohio State the following year. But he was on his way out the door. It was one of Spurrier's South Carolina teams that won the SEC East that year. They ended up in the championship game. But they were only 5-3 in the conference. So it was all West that year. LSU finished with 11 wins after they won the Cotton Bowl against A&M. Alabama and Arkansas, Bobby Petrino was still there, both won 10 games that season. But before that season started, I don't remember people thinking of Auburn as a team that was going to be a favorite to win the national championship, which they did. All that being said, if you had asked me to make a pick this morning on what I'm getting value-wise, I would have told you that A&M, who is not in the top 3, has an excellent chance, I think, to win the league. And I'm aware of their schedule, but I also know what they did last year. You got a coach on very solid footing here. You got 18 starters back. They're not all A&M starters. And you got a quarterback. No, it didn't finish the way he wanted to, but, man, when he's good, he's really good. You want to know what the only thing that worries me about A&M that is keeping me from really kind of going all in on them? The left side of their offensive line is ex-LSU guys. And to be honest with you, they were Tyree Adams and Cohen Eccles.
Yes.
And I really liked Eccles when he first got in the lineup, and I thought he regressed.
And Mbenga played as well.
Yeah, when Mbenga was there. I thought Eccles was good out of the chute, and I thought he regressed a little bit. I thought Adams was okay. I never thought he was an elite left tackle when he was here, and I thought he regressed a little bit. Maybe you can blame the coach. A lot of people did. The offensive line coach here. That's the left side of A&M's offensive line right now. If
it
that's,
is.
That's
yes.
Past that,
they've also got a mobile quarterback.
That look good thing. That and look, maybe they're upperclassmen now, so maybe they're ready to be, bona fide upper level starters. But that A&M team looks really good to me.
Okay, I think no surprise, Mike. Elko was great at Duke. He's been great at A&M. And they've got a good roster.
If you asked me to do one thing in there, I would tell you that overrated, underrated. I would tell you that A&M's a little underrated and Ole Miss is a little overrated. I think that people believe, I listened to it for the last few days, we're going to listen to it all through August, and at least till LSU goes there, that Ole Miss is just going to pick up where they left off last year. And I don't believe that.
Well, someone just mentioned what happens if they lose to Louisville in week 1.
And I don't think they will, but they could. It's not like it'd be the biggest upset in college football history. But when you take a coach like Lane Kiffin out of the mix
and
Charlie Weiss, I don't think that they're just going to be able to pick up. And Joe Judge is fine, but the camaraderie, the cohesion that Kiffin and Weiss had with their quarterbacks there was elite. I don't know that they get elite again. I think there's going to be an enormous amount of pressure on Pete Golding to keep the focus on the first 2 games and not just zip right forward to the LSU game. If LSU loses that game, they go on with their lives. Okay, Kiffin's still a coach. You've still got half a dozen big games left on the schedule. He's going to be back next year. You still feel like he's in the building process on the way up. If Pete Golding doesn't win there, you're going to say, wait a minute, you left him with all of this material, and Kiffin went there and remade a roster and came up here and beat him at Vaught Hemingway in year number 1. I just think that they're assuming an awful lot is just going to, because of the playoff run, is going to be there, and I'm not so certain that that's true.
It's the playoff run, or is it just that they've been good in recent years? Because again, I've tried when Kiffin got hired, and we were just talking about Charlie, how big it was, how good he was. I'm trying to find Ole Miss's. I don't know if they'd ever put together any stretch of 10-win seasons.
Johnny Vaught, you got to go way back. Expecting Trinidad Chambliss to just duplicate the year he had last year without the staff there is a big ask. Maybe he can do it. I mean, I like him. I think he's a fantastic player. But is he going to be able to just automatically do that? I don't know. There's going to be a lot of pressure on him. A lot of light on him.
They went in 20. So the year after COVID, 10-3, 8-5, 11-2, 10-3, 13-2.
I thought you meant prior to Kiffin.
No,
prior to Kiffin.
Prior to Kiffin, so I'm going now before COVID. They won 10 games in 2015, and they won 10 games with Cutcliffe in 03.
That was the Eli Manning.
The Eli Manning year, and then you can go back to 1971, which was right after the first year after the Johnny Vaught era ended.
It's been a minute.
You're talking an Eli Manning season, and then 2015 Ole Miss, which that team went to the Sugar Bowl, finished 10-3. God, that'd have been Freeze would have been the coach.
That was the Bo Wallace team. Might have been.
That had to, yeah.
Yeah. So they beat Baylor in the Sugar, I think it was that year.
Let's see.
I got to go back and look at it. We're here at Ruffino's live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Odd and Hanny from Ruffino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Celebrating Restaurant Week here at Ruffino's live at lunch. Shea Dixon from On 3 is our guest. Just to kind of finish up the thought on Ole Miss being able to retain what Kiffin has done. what he did compared to what 4 coaches before him.
Well, we went through a list of Tommy Tuber. We're starting in 1995 here, of taking over a 500 team or less, and what you did: Tuberville, Cutcliffe, Coach O, Houston Nutt, Hugh Freeze with NIL money, the Matt Luke era, and then Kiffin and Charlie. We just saw it. One team with Eli goes 10 wins. Kiffin did it 5 times. 4 times.
Yeah. He's an elite coach. There's a reason that LSU paid so much money for him and that he was in the demand that he was in. He is capable of that kind of turnaround. And I know we'll talk about the recruiting stuff later, but he brought up the quote yesterday. We did that there, and we've already, before we played a game here, been able to sign more 5-star recruits, attract more in the portal, put more of these kids on the Nike team, which is money, than we were in the entire time we were at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
There's a difference between – and Ole Miss was better than LSU last year. They might be better than LSU this year. I don't think they're going to win that game, but that Ole Miss is going to win that game, but maybe they will. But overall, this is really not close because some of those coaches on that list had pretty good success other places, but not necessarily. I mean, David Cutcliffe was pretty good at Duke, right? I mean, he did a nice job at Duke. Coach O won a national championship here. Couldn't get out of the basement when he was there. It's different. It's very different. Oh, wait, I've heard that somewhere. Oh, gosh. Bruce Marshall was at SEC Media Days. We'll talk with him when we come back. We'll take a look at the predicted order of finishes, very closely mirroring the odds to win the conference with a few exceptions. We'll talk about that when we come back live at Rufino's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
He's out there somewhere in the world. Maybe even your local sports book.
Can anybody help us?
Let's bring in Bruce Marshall.
Well, I don't know where he is right this second, but I know where he's been all week, and that's the SEC Media Days. Bruce Marshall with the Gold Sheet, of course, and a longtime contributor to the show. Bruce, good afternoon. How are you?
Good. Flew all night. Back from Florida, so I'm back in Nevada now. But very interesting week for me up at ACC and then down to SEC and Tampa this week. Quite fun.
So we got the predicted order of finish from the media, and some of this stuff closely mirrors what the current odds are to win the league, Bruce. But there's a couple of exceptions. Georgia was picked to win the league very narrowly over Texas. That mirrors, and I'm using our DraftKings Sportsbook odds here from our partners down at Bally's and the Queen. Georgia is plus 260 to win the league, and Texas is plus 310. That pretty closely mirrors what the voters said in Tampa. The next cluster on the odds board is Texas A&M, Alabama, and LSU, who are all basically equal, either plus 850 or plus 900. The outlier, Bruce, is that the media picked Ole Miss third, and they are the 6th choice on the odds board all the way at plus 1,100. And Jimmy's not here today. Shea Dixon from On 3 is our guest. We've been discussing about what the expectations are and the history of Ole Miss and what they're going in there and what Pete Golding is up against here. So who's got, in your mind, who's got this right? The odds makers who have Ole Miss 6th or the media who has Ole Miss 3rd?
Well, there's a lot of lemmings there. If they're all voting for Georgia and Texas. I was the one vote for Kentucky.
You voted for Kentucky.
I kept the ballot straight. Everything else, apparently, that caused a little ruffle there. But I said, you know what? Nobody picked Indiana either. Will Stein's the only guy who came out and said, "I'm going to win."
If Kentucky wins, you'll have the only ticket, Bruce.
I know, and I did that with Mississippi State once. But I kept the ballot straight all the way down. A little bit surprised. I had LSU second in mind.
Really?
And I think I had Oklahoma third, and then the heavyweights there. I'm surprised LSU didn't get a little bit more support with Lane, especially that he's got the quarterback coming in. Yeah, I know the lines are going to be new, but I don't think LSU is going to be caught short. And I thought Lane would get a little bit more support in the poll there, but it just seems like. I mean, also Charlie, when's the last time you saw Alabama get just 3 votes out of SEC Media Days to win the league?
Oh, I can answer that in 2 words. Mike Shula.
Okay, all right. So then we're going back 20-plus years.
Over 20 years, yeah. Well over 20 years.
It's been a long time, but there was not much Bama buzz there. But I'm a little bit surprised that this didn't break down a little bit more than just Georgia and Texas. Arch also did not get the top vote for quarterback either, and that went to Chambliss, which might have made them a little upset at the SEC office. I think you get the feeling they kind of want to promote Arch here, but Chambliss was there. I didn't have Arch in my top 3. I had Levitt and Chambliss and I think Mateer or Byron Brown. I'm not sure Arch is in that top sphere of SEC quarterbacks.
If I was the SEC office, I would. This is just me. First of all, Chambliss earned it. I think he had the best year and should be. In fact, if you make him, the first team All-America quarterback, getting some votes for that. And I know it's going to be more insane than those guys, but if you put him in that conversation, I think he deserves merit there. To me, he had the best year last year. I'm going to promote that because Arch Manning promotes himself. Let me say that again. The Arch Manning hype is always going to be there. And Arch, I shouldn't have said it that way. I didn't mean that he himself is pushing this narrative because he really doesn't all that much. But everybody else around him does it for him, so he doesn't have to really worry about that. I would promote if I was the SEC, hey, listen, we got Arch Manning, and we got this guy at Ole Miss who had an even better year, a much better year than he did a year ago.
I agree with you. That's right. The marketplace sort of promotes Arch, so the SEC doesn't have to go out of its way. But I agree. I mean, Chambliss was really the breakthrough story last year, and I think he did. He does deserve to be number 1. We'll see how it works this year now that Lane is there, but I'm totally comfy with putting Chambliss on top. Although I'm still saying Levitt is a guy to watch here. Putting him with Lane and the Heisman Trophy voting, he's way down. He's down the list some. I think he might be a good long shot. Also surprised Mateer didn't get a little bit more love. Last year he's playing with that hand injury almost the whole year. We might see the real Mateer this year at Oklahoma. He could be right in that mix too.
We spent this is Shea Dixon here, not Jimmy, obviously. But before you came on, Charlie was trying to find who out there was so bullish on LSU season that they put them in the top 5 at 5th. Now, granted, we're looking at a point differential that's not much between Oklahoma at 7 and really Ole Miss at 3. It's people like him. He's telling you to put him second.
I can make a case for LSU. I just didn't think a lot of the media there would. And Bruce, I get the Kiffin factor. I think it works just as much against him as it does for him. I think that there are members of the media that flat don't like him and would not give him the benefit of the doubt on any 50-50 call. I think there's some people that do like him, but I think there's plenty that don't. So I wasn't expecting a Kiffin. But you were down there. What were some of the conversations off mic and all that, media members, league, anybody, about what is realistic for Lane Kiffin in year 1 here?
Well, it kind of ran the gamut. I mean, I guess I was, one of the guys, really talking up LSU because of Lane. But you're right. I mean, it's love him or hate him. There's like not much indifference with Lane. It's one way or the other. I think they can hit the ground running this year with him and make sure you got to beat Clemson in that early game to get him at home this year. But they went up there and won last year, and I don't know what Dabo's got coming in this year. So I think he could be off fast. I think he could be off to a fast start, and we'll see. Keep Levitt healthy. And Levitt was a guy they were talking about him as a high first-round pick at this time last year until he got hurt at ASU. He had that great year at 2024 for Kenny Dillingham. So I really think, he's the bottom. We were talking about who he reminds me of, and I was trying to come up a little bit Justin Herbert. I don't know if he runs quite as much as Herbert, but he can do some of those things. I think he is a home run, and I think maybe the best portal ad in the country this year. Lane got him. I kind of fear Lane in this, and I'm kind of pro Lane, and I think this might be something to keep an eye on.
The comp we've talked about here in the last week or so, we've sort of been looking at Ole Miss quarterbacks that Lane Kiffin had. I think he's maybe a little bit better than Matt Corral. I'm not ready to go Jackson Dart just yet because I don't know if he's healthy. If he's healthy, then fine. But I would say that Levitt compares favorably to Matt Corral, who Kiffin got an awful lot out of at Ole Miss. I would say he is an upper level better, a little bit better than what Matt Corral was if he's healthy, and if he's at peak, then I think he can get to what Jackson Dart was. And before anybody, Jackson Dart, the guy was a first-round pick, okay? They won plenty of games behind Jackson Dart. He was a 5-star recruit, Shea. I'm not talking out of school there. Jackson Dart was a pretty
starter in the NFL, too.
The pretty big talent. So I'm not ready to quite go there. But, heck, he won a bunch of games with Matt Corral as quarterback. I think that Levitt is certainly capable of doing that. And if he gets to 100%, maybe even better.
Well, the other thing about Lane, remember, Chambliss, too. And who saw that coming last year?
Nobody.
Nobody. No, I'm not sure. Chambliss didn't even see that coming. So, and by the way, the other I think Simmons is at Missouri now, the one who got hurt.
He is.
He paved the way for Chambliss. But, Lane's track record is awfully good. And I'm kind of hoping Levitt is healthy 100% and we can see him because I really, really liked him a lot, and sort of a lot of people, when he was healthy at ASU 2 years ago. And even the start of last season, played well. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see him. I'm concerned, as always, when you have a quarterback that is as athletic as he is. It's coming off of a foot injury.
Yeah.
That's a little bit concerning. Let's swap to what Greg Sankey was talking about at the top of this thing, and that is, I'm paraphrasing here, if we can't get the rules in proper alignment, that breaking away is a very real thing. I think a lot of the media wrote about this and said, yes, he's serious. I think this is a bluff. I understand why he's making it. I don't think that the SEC would ever do that. Bruce, how serious do you think he was, and how much of this was just a kind of a warning shot that we're going to really hunker down in negotiations?
Charlie, I'm in line with you on this, but I do think Sankey is playing this very well, though, because it's the threat of doing that, and all he has to do is just not take it off the table. Because I think there are other things more short-term, more realistic for the SEC to achieve in some of the stuff in front of Congress and things like that it wants, that they need the other leagues to back off from, Big 12 and ACC in particular, as a better chance for the SEC to kind of join in with them. In particular, this sharing of the media rights thing, that is a non-starter for the SEC, and it should be a non-starter. And I think Sankey is right to use the breakaway thing as a stick out there. It's still something they're thinking about even. But I think his real desire is to get the rest of the conferences to drop that thing with splitting the media rights, and then Sankey's strategy, I think, would work. But I think you're right. It would be very, very remote. And there were a few SEC outposts that are kind of pushing this, from what I can tell. I think Georgia seems to be very, very aggressively sort of pushing this. But I don't think it's a realistic thing. He'd probably need the Big Ten, even if the Big Ten came along with him. I mean, the ramifications of that and what they'd have to do legally and to extract themselves from the NC2A just for football like that, and with the TV contracts, they'd have to redo those. They'd become pariahs in the whole country. I don't think the SEC wants that, and that's why I don't think it's real. But Sankey's playing this well, though. Just keep it out there as a just-in-case threat, and I don't think the Big 12 and the ACC really want to lose the SEC either. They sort of need the SEC to validate themselves, and I think it's most about keeping that media rights deal. One other thing, the playoff thing, though, I'm not sure how that's going to shake out. If they're talking about 24, which some of the leagues are, listen, there's one other factor here, and I think Sankey understands this. There were only so many dates you have, and you get into December, the SEC, big boys. The NFL is the biggest boy on the block, though.
Yeah.
And they like those Saturday spots in December for them. And, you look at the ratings, James Madison, Oregon last year up against Bears, Packers, NFL routed. So that you got to be careful not to poke the bear too much with the NFL. There's only so many dates you can compress in there, and you don't want to butt heads with the NFL if you don't have to.
No, and let me say this. As far as the breakaway, I hate it. I hate even the idea of it. We certainly we're old enough to remember when the top two teams in college football might not meet because of the old bowl structure. We're going back into the 80s here, and nothing would aggravate me more than for, say, just because of the where I am here, if LSU were to go 12-0 and then win the SEC championship game, and they'd say, okay, that's it, they're the national champion, and there's a 13-0 Ohio State or USC or somebody else from Penn State, whoever, and you say, well, we'll never be able to settle that. We remember 2003 that LSU and USC could not play. They're still arguing about that. I don't want to go back to those days. I think that the expanded playoff is one of the terms that the SEC will compromise on as soon as they figure out where the money's going to come to replace the SEC championship game. I think if they got an assurance in writing, in concrete, that they would make more than $100 million on a 16 or even a 2014 playoff, they would take it. ESPN's not going to agree to that 2014 playoff because it lets other broadcast partners in. There's so many different moving parts to it, but I don't like the idea of breaking away. As much as I love Southeastern Conference football, grew up on it, live it every day that it's here, I don't believe that this is the only place that they play really good college football, and I love to see them prove it on the field when the Ohio States and Michigans and USCs of the world play the Alabamas, Georgias, and LSUs. That's, to me, the culmination of a season, not just a conference championship, but we'll see how it goes. Yep. I got to ask you a LeBron question before we let you go. The odds have shifted here significantly with him signing with Philadelphia. The Sixers are now the co-favorites. I'm looking again at DraftKings to win the Eastern Conference at plus 900. They are the third choice to win the NBA title behind the Spurs and the Thunder. What do you think as far as plugging him in there? Should Philadelphia be the favorite to win the NBA title?
Maybe not the title, although I can understand some of the excitement now. And I don't want to say this came out of left field, but that's not where I thought he was going to land, and nor did many other people. You think about what they've added in the offseason with Jaylen Brown and him. I still think, though, Philadelphia, LeBron at this stage of his career is not going to be able to carry them. We saw that with the Lakers the last couple of years. And I'm not sure Jaylen Brown would either. It's Embiid, and can you keep him healthy? And that hasn't changed. That dynamic hasn't changed. So I understand some of the hype for the Sixers. But I'm a little bit reluctant to jump on board like I am every year with Philadelphia because Embiid always seems to get hurt. And if that happens again, LeBron ain't going to win there. And that's, I think, the most important factor. But it is interesting, and I do understand some of the excitement in Philadelphia now. Not that they need any more, with the Eagles coming up and all, and that city's going to go nuts right now until they lose some, and then LeBron's going to wonder, why did I come here? They're booing me, which is possible.
Bruce, since he left Cleveland the first time, LeBron has tried to stack the deck in his favor every single year. They put it together in Miami with the Heat. When he went back to Cleveland, he made sure that they got Kevin Love. They had Kyrie with the draft pick, but he made sure they got Kevin Love before he would agree to anything. When he went to the Lakers, he made sure that they had enough cap room to go out and add. Now, it didn't work, but he made sure that they were there. And this time, I actually got this one right. I could have been wrong, but I looked at this after the Brown trade, and it's like, where's the best roster? The best roster is not in Miami because they don't have a backcourt. The best roster is not in Minnesota because they've got too many question marks. The best roster is not in Golden State because they're too old. It's Philly or Cleveland. And Philadelphia looks like the better option, if for no other reason than you don't have to play with James Harden. Harden is a numbers guy, but he plays mostly losing basketball. That was why I picked Philadelphia. I'm not saying it's going to work. But LeBron James wants a stacked deck. That's kind of the way he's always been since he left Cleveland the first time. We'll see if it works.
Yeah, that looks like it. And the only surprise to me is, I sort of thought he'd be closer to the West, not necessarily the Warriors, but with he's still going to keep his home in L.A. He's got another son who's going to be playing at Arizona this year, and I thought, and he likes to play golf, so I thought, he might want to rather be there. But he wants another ring, so I guess that's what he's going to try to do.
Bruce, appreciate your time. We'll talk to you next week. The NFL will be in camp. Everybody, I think, will be in camp by this day next week. We'll get into some of that. Thanks a lot, my friend.
Have a good week, Charlie.
Thank you, Bruce Marshall with the Gold Sheet. I want to tell you about a blood drive that is coming up for a very special young lady named Lexi Brignac. You may remember that she, local player at Santa Maria. She was a volleyball player there. She's 20 years old. Lexi's been battling leukemia since very early in her life. She was in remission, and then, further medical complications with that have come up. And so this replacement blood drive is going to be at Our Lady of the Lake Children's Hospital this Tuesday from 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. Each donation will generate a $30 credit towards her medical expenses. All the donors get a free T-shirt. That's over at Our Lady of the Lake Children's Hospital on Tuesday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Lexi's now 20 years old and is fighting very, very courageously. She's a very courageous young woman with what she's gone through. If you can, please make a donation at the replacement blood drive to benefit Lexi Brignac. That is this Tuesday from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. at Our Lady of the Lake Children's Hospital. Live at Rufino's. Live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Don't forget our friends at United Community Bank, the local way to bank big with locations from Baton Rouge to Golden Meadow. We've been serving the people of Southern Louisiana for over 50 years. At United Community Bank, your business is our business. We support the hardworking folks behind local business, all the way from initial startup loans to ongoing planning and assessments. United Community Bank is here for you. Prentice Wilkes, Heath Muir, Nicole Glover, Hunter Creed, David Campbell, and David Henry. Stop on by and discuss how we can help your business today. United Community Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Live at lunch with Odd and Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And return here at Rufino's where they're celebrating Restaurant Week. 3 courses for $60. We were able to dine in here earlier in the week. First course, the shrimp and gazpacho. That is the fresh poached Gulf shrimp, the red and green gazpacho with roasted corn salsa. One of your first courses, your appetizers, are the oven-roasted pork bellies, the blistered shishito peppers with mushroom powder. Second course, your main course, 7-ounce Manhattan filet with the blue cheese crust, bacon-crusted grouper with the sweet corn puree, and the pork chops a la vodka tomato cream sauce, along with that crispy bone-in pork cutlet. Dessert is either the Italian cheesecake or the pistachio cannoli with semi-sweet chocolate. Can't go wrong here, and all of those are available a la carte here at lunchtime for Restaurant Week. Come by and get 3 courses for $60 tonight. Shea, I've been waiting to ask you this question since Lane Kiffin's explanation of removing himself from social media. And how is that forever or is that just for right now? You cover recruiting all day, every day. How much of Lane Kiffin's recruiting success was tied to his online activity? His social media activity, and you can go back to Alabama, you can go back to Tennessee, you can go back to USC. You cover recruiting all over the place. How closely were they intertwined?
I think you view that more in a positive lens than a negative. Like when he was coming out of the gates hot and all over the place, the kids notice it, right? But that he's not doing it, I don't think it's deterring anyone because no other coach is doing it. Nobody does that but Lane. So when Lane's doing it, yes, the kids notice, but Lane hasn't been tweeting in however long, and LSU was still rolling through the summer recruiting like normal. So I don't think it matters one way or the other. I think that, like we're talking about, winning 10 games a year, that catches the attention of recruits more than what you're up to on social media. Forever, I'm going to bet against Knox here. I'm going to bet that he's back on social media at some point.
Well, and
you win in Oxford week 3. Son, I'm sorry, but Dad's back on Twitter tonight.
And I think that this was more important to him when he was at Tennessee. It wasn't terribly long after Twitter had really taken off. That's what we're talking about.
Tennessee in 2009 would have been his final year.
His only year.
His only year. Yeah, however you want to phrase it.
Twitter launched in 2006, but right about 2010,
11-ish.
I would say even a little bit before that, it really started to take off.
Yes.
Okay. This is when he was at Tennessee. He had that really strong class the 1 year he was there. You remember Bryce Brown and oh gosh, I'm blanking on
Dave Dooley, the keys to the kingdom there.
DeAndre Hopkins, right?
Yeah,
he tried to get, and that wasn't DeAndre Hopkins the one that spurred the whole thing about you go to South Carolina and or you go to Clemson and you'll pump gas or whatever. One of the receivers, I think it was DeAndre Hopkins, but I could be wrong on that. But anyway, he was establishing himself as a head coach. I mean, the Raiders thing didn't work out, but we're talking about college now. And then when he went out to SC, everybody remembered him from his time at SC under Pete Carroll, and he was just building his own personal brand at that point. Man, that ship sailed a long time ago. Lane Kiffin, I would argue, is the most famous, notorious maybe, some people would prefer, college coach in America right now.
Because he's been around for he's only 50, at 51 or 2, but because he's been coaching for 20-something years as a head coach?
Because of, yes, part of it, but also that he has coached at some of the highest profile places. I mean, USC, when he was there, was a national, as an assistant, okay, was a multiple-time national champion. He was at Alabama when they won a title. He has resurrected. He was at Tennessee, was with the Raiders. He did more, you documented more Ole Miss than anybody in 40, 50 years.
And some capable coaches.
And now he's at LSU. Nobody doesn't know who Lane Kiffin is. There's no publicity that he needs at this point to succeed. I don't think. But you're in recruiting.
No, you don't. That's what I'm saying. You don't need that.
Yeah. So
if they win games, which they haven't done, you just sat here in the break and said, I did pre and post for every game last year, and I forgot they barely beat Western Kentucky.
That game is completely erased from my memory.
I can remember sitting there in the third, fourth quarter and thinking, if they got the ball and scored, they're losing. This team, LSU didn't. This is part of. Let's add this to the list of. LSU just got put in the top 5 in the preseason SEC voting, coming off of a year where you were almost 500. You fired your head coach 2/3 of the way through this season. You hadn't gotten to the playoffs or to double-digit wins since the 2019 season. We've been through COVID and everything else since then. You have a new head coach. You have an all-new offensive staff. You took more players than any other team in the SEC in the portal. You're expecting true freshmen to start at defensive tackle on the interior in the SEC. They're great players, right? I'm not debating that. All of these things are your starting quarterback was not in spring ball.
And you
were still top 5. Add to it now that, they didn't score more than 25 points in a game last year. It's Southeastern, an FBS game.
Mm-hmm.
They did not score more than 25 points in a game. Almost went 500, fired a head coach, brought in a whole new roster, and the media still puts you top 5.
Let me.
That's an LSU respect, but that's also a Kiffin Weiss respect.
Okay, I think it's absolutely more on Kiffin.
Yeah,
because
you have to have both.
Let me ask you this way: if they had this exact same roster, the exact same roster
with Kelly.
No, I was going to say with John Summerall. Not as high.
No.
Not
with
high.
That margin of how close it was. No, not that high.
Because he was on the list, right?
You would have been behind DeBoer. You would have been probably behind Venables, who found out this week. I don't remember who was talking about
Eli Drinkwitz. When it was all done, it was like, Eli Drinkwitz interviewed really strong, or it presented a very strong case.
There's guys on that you could.
They're not. I would say that Summerall and Drinkwitz were the two closest.
You're in Florida spot. You're 9th. Which is, well, if you're considering.
I don't think quite that far, but
then
they're not fifth.
Then you're seventh at least.
Yeah,
because,
I would say
again, fourth A&M, 1967, 1961 for LSU, 1930 votes for Bama, 1914 for OU. You're finishing at the bottom of that if you don't have Lane Kiffin.
And I really think that they're if it was a healthy Sam Levitt, I think they might even be picked a little bit higher than what they were.
They were only what is 7 minus 1? 6. They're 7 votes away from being fourth, from being ahead of A&M.
And A&M blew the doors off of them last year.
A&M is the reason LSU's in this position.
Yes, A&M blew the doors off of LSU in Tiger Stadium, got the coach fired. Year before that, they put this second half, blitz on, and the quarterback comes in and runs all over LSU. They're bringing everybody back. Their coach is in his third year. There's nothing on paper that you can point to that you should say, you know what, LSU should be ahead of A&M in any preseason poll, and yet there they are, almost.
So, and then again, you've got this 2,500 votes, however you want to calculate this, and Georgia's sitting there together. Georgia, Texas, 1-2. LSU could have been ahead of Ole Miss. They were less than 50 votes or points, however you want to say it, behind Ole Miss, to being 3.
I can make that.
And we're not talking about an SEC. We're just saying that this SEC is competitive, that they're going to – nobody thinks Oklahoma's a bad football team, and they're 7th.
If Lane Kiffin weren't the coach here, you would definitely say that Ole Miss was – they were better than them last year. They beat them in Oxford. That game probably maybe shouldn't have been as close as it was. What could you possibly take LSU ahead of Ole Miss for off of that, other than you think they're better at head coach, and because of that, they have improved the roster enough?
You can't have one without the other. So I was going to say, what are people in their minds that are not LSU media voting here? Enough of them to put LSU even in that group, let alone that they finished 5th, could have finished 3rd type of thing. It's that you have Kiffin and Weiss, and that what followed was the portal haul.
The portal haul is a big
and I guess
deal.
You're definitely putting that you retained Blake Baker and in turn your defensive staff. You cannot have a complete turnover here. Nobody would have been as if he had also brought Golding and everyone from the defense down here. Do you think people would have considered that to be better than what they have now? No, absolutely not.
No, probably not. I'm also looking at what Kiffin did in first years. His first year at Tennessee, that was a nice turnaround for them. His first year at USC, they had a winning record. His second year, they were a 10-win team. His first year at Florida Atlantic, they were an 11-win team. Throw the COVID year out.
Was that his first at Ole Miss?
Yeah, and I'm going to throw. They were 5-5. I'm throwing that out.
They won every year.
They were 10-3 the next year. Okay, so he's done some quick turnarounds, but it's been the bigger impact was year 2 at USC, year 2 at Ole Miss, year 1 at Florida Atlantic. He went in and dusted Kusa. He was so much better. And I think had he stayed at Tennessee, they would have made significant progress in the 2010 season. I think that they would have been a strong contender. Maybe not for the national championship because the SEC championship, because Auburn ended up being so good that year. But I think they would have been in that next tier if he had stayed at Tennessee.
And every one of those years, I'm thinking back now even to Tennessee, is now let's actually the USC years. You're kind of gifted these quarterbacks sometimes, but he gets Dart from USC. But that began the portal.
Yeah.
The whole if Lane's just going to go out here and get a quarterback every year. Is what people said. That in every year you look, when they win 10 games, they had a quarterback. He gets down here, they have 2 quarterbacks at least right now. You could put Longstreet in there and people would say, okay. Now Levitt's light years above because he's had playing experience and he's proven it. But so let's just stick to Levitt.
We're sitting here next year.
A healthy Levitt.
He's supposed to be the starting quarterback next year.
Sure, and that'd be a natural progression and deviate a bit from what Kiffin normally does. But again, he's done what he's always done, and you can argue Levitt is in the same tier as maybe anyone you were talking about it earlier, except Jackson Dart's a starter in the NFL, so I'm not going to put him in that.
I'm going to argue this, that you better get him now, okay? Because you're in a transition. For all the talent they got, you're in a transition, coaching staff-wise and player-wise, and he's still getting everything in line here. I think they'll be good this year. But I think next year and the year after that, because you look at what he did at Ole Miss, okay? Forget the COVID year. They got off to a good start. When he got into years 3, 4, and 5.
He wasn't going backwards.
No, he wasn't. And he really.
And you didn't flatline.
No, and I think he would have done fine at Tennessee. The USC thing, there was a probation in there. That didn't work out as well for him, but I think he's a better coach now than he was when he was at SC. Get him now. LSU doesn't make the playoffs. The national media is going to have a ball stomping all over him. It's like, just hang on, because next year they'll be in a lot firmer position, a lot more confident with what they do. It doesn't mean they're not going to be good this year, but just next year and beyond, wait till you see what he can really build.
You sound like Lane.
Well, I kind of believe that. I've got a lot of evidence to back that up. He's got to put the whole thing together. It might take a little longer than everybody wants it to. We'll break here at Ruffino's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Don't forget our friends at United Community Bank, the local way to bank big, with locations from Baton Rouge to Golden Meadow. We've been serving the people of Southern Louisiana for over 50 years. You know, at United Community Bank, your business is our business. We support the hardworking folks behind local business, all the way from initial startup loans to ongoing planning and assessments. United Community Bank is here for you. Prentice Wilkes, Heath Muir, Nicole Glover, Hunter Creed, David Campbell, and David Henry. Stop on by, discuss how we can help your business today. United Community Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Live at lunch with Otten Hanny from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We're also brought to you by Coastal Capital Advisors. When it comes to retirement, you want some real answers because you don't want any surprises at that point in your life. Get with Phil Fontenot and his staff at Coastal Capital Advisors to map out your future. They've done a great job for us when you're planning to retire, what you're expecting in retirement. Let them answer those questions. Put you on a plan and make it happen no matter where you are in life, what your age or your economic situation. They can tailor-make a plan that is perfect for you and your family. Peace of mind. CoastalCapitalADV.com to schedule your appointment. CoastalCapitalADV.com. Coastal Capital Advisors, member FINRA, SIPC. Shea Dixon is our guest from On 3. Shea, let's talk about the football part of this and get out of the predictions and all that. Camp starts here in 2 weeks. What's the first thing you're looking at after Levitt? Levitt's easy. So after that,
wide receiver. I wanted because go back and look at these Lane teams. You did it with kind of his trajectory and win-loss, right? At receiver, since he's hired Kendall Browse, they took that Browse offense. Him and Charlie Weiss add their element to it. It becomes a very run-centric offense, but it's the Browse offense with his own kind of twist to it there. And look, Tennessee runs a version. All these teams run versions of it. Levy at State runs a version of it, but not like Lane and Charlie Weiss have. And every year, 4 receivers play. That's it, 4 to 5. Every year. And you look at the drop-off. It's like voting or something. It's like, 30 to 50 catches and then 2. And even my Ole Miss buddies who are diehards who sit around listening to, Ole Miss talk radio all day and are on the boards, said the same thing. I said, what? You took like 10-plus transfers. Like all these guys playing, they're like, go look at the stats. He'll pick 4, and those are the guys that are playing. So I think fall camp determines that. Because right now we don't have there weren't any first, second, third team LSU receivers on there, and I think by season's end there will be. I just don't think anyone knows right now who to pick out of that group.
What I did notice yesterday, I was talking about this with Rohan, Ole Miss's tight ends caught 62 balls last year.
They were never Trades.
Right. 62 balls. There were 3 of them. One played just a little bit. But the top 2 tight ends caught 58 balls for over 840 yards. And you take those guys, and Daquan Wright was a starter. He was a senior. He's in camp with the Eagles, but he wasn't drafted. Trades is going to be drafted very high, probably in the first round. So the wide receiver numbers, I completely agree with you. It's tight end numbers. I didn't realize they had thrown the ball to the tight ends quite that much. I didn't remember that. But when we were going through the numbers yesterday, wait a minute, they threw the ball to the tight end quite a bit. It wasn't always the same guy, but the top two guys, those were pretty good numbers.
Yeah, so if you're, and I've looked at this plenty, if you're saying there are going to be 5 guys that are in the mix, and that wasn't always the case at Ole Miss. Not every year did they lean that heavily on tight end. Like they had some years where the 5th guy might have been tight end in total catches by the end of the year. But Trey-Dez is going to be in your top 5. He's going to be in your top 4. He's going to be in maybe your top 3 or 2. So now you're really just looking at 4 receivers. Let's just pick 4 receivers. And Winnie Watkins, who came from Ole Miss and knows what he's doing,
you're actually going to pick. You're going to pick.
No,
4.
I'm just saying it's going to be one of them.
No. Because if you're going to pick 4,
this
is what I'm looking for. Which 4?
Then you're picking Jace Brown because if you're just, it's like you looking at. Look, I've got data to back this up. Okay, well, he went for 1,000 yards every year at Kansas State. That's good, more than anybody else on the roster's done. Let's put him in there. You're at 2, and you've got Trey-Dez. I think it gets blurry after this. I think a healthy Eugene Wilson coming from Florida is one that nobody is talking about that I think can be impactful.
Because of the health. And
he was all SEC freshman, got injured, and every year it's been injury.
Right.
But I'm not saying that he's all first team or any of that. I'm saying that I think he could start or finish the year in that top 4.
He's an impact guy if he's playing.
And Jackson Harris is coming from Hawaii, and everybody in Lane's offense fits something, or Charlie's offense fits something. Jackson Harris is very much a vertical threat for you. He proved it at Hawaii. Yes, it's Hawaii, but still, he's got good size. He can get downfield. We saw him do it some in spring ball. So those guys, again, we didn't see a lot of Wilson in spring ball because he was recovering from an injury. But if they're saying he's healthy, if he goes to fall camp healthy and he gets through it, I'm looking at that group of guys as my top guys.
The top 2 tight ends for Ole Miss last year caught 58 balls. Trey-Dez Green caught 33. All right, now
that's malpractice.
Well, now Bawa Sharp caught 24, so they did throw the ball at tight end. Okay, you want the ball in Trey-Dez Green's hands. You go back to Kiffin's, when he was at Alabama, they brought him in. What would you do? Get the ball to Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Throw the ball to Devontae Smith. It's throw the ball to him. I want to see receiver rotations. I want to see running back rotations because I got a good idea we're going to see a bunch of Dylan Jones.
Well, I don't know how much of that you're going to get.
Well, those are my questions. How much we're going to get to see, I don't know.
And you're saying in camp.
Yeah,
you want to see these things. Okay.
Camp. And interior defensive line rotation. Because I think
if it changes from what it was in spring when it was just 2 true freshmen the whole time.
Yes. Well, for instance, I know that they're going to slide Lamar Brown maybe further outside, but I could see him playing some 5 technique. In fact, I think he's kind of a perfect 5 technique. I don't know how much of that they want to run.
You skip past O-line, which I thought was the storyline of spring, is that we thought we had some big O-line debate coming, and they stuck with the exact same people minus left guard the entire time.
They made a change about halfway through, maybe a little bit before halfway through.
Devin Harper to Bordelon.
Devin Harper went to Bordelon. I kind of consider that solid.
So
at least they picked the guys that they're going to go with. If those 5, if it's not Seton, Bordelon, Moore, Alou, and Weston Davis, I'll be surprised.
Okay, right.
So I'm not expecting.
You're not going to be as surprised. You're saying if it's not Prince Will, 2 true freshmen, Jordan Ross.
Yes, yeah. The ends I think are kind of set. Now that depends. Brown, I think, is a hybrid. I think you can do some different things with Brown. If Brown comes in and backs up Jordan Ross at some point, or he slides down inside, like I said, to a 5, okay, that's fine.
Let me paint the picture more here, because we're in deep now. We're talking D lineman. I remember one time Glenn Gilbo was asked about a backup.
All right, you got to hurry now because we're running on a show.
Okay, we'll move on. We can talk about it in a minute.
No, go ahead. Make your point before we go to break.
We're good. We can talk about it in a minute.
All right, we go back.
It'll take a debate.
All right. Live at lunch from Rufino's, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Line or D-line, and relative to where they finished in spring, which was they took a bunch of new guys, and there wasn't really any shakeup at either spot, on either side, right? Like, Relaford got hurt, so Jordan Ross is your DN most of the time when he's out there.
Biggest surprise to me was Deuce Gerald's.
So that's what we're debating here, is that 2 true freshmen could be your starters at D-tackle.
Could be. I would think that both the transfers, Green plus
Blockton,
plus Dominic McKinley. I'm hoping
yes,
kind of breaks out. But yeah, you could. The two freshmen are really, really good.
And we're also debating a spot that rotates more than anyone on offense would ever do, obviously.
That's the thing.
I think, look, Richard Anderson is viewed by many, Charlie, as the best defensive tackle to come out of Louisiana since Glenn Dorsey.
Here's where I'm going to push back a little bit, because I heard this about Mason Smith. I heard this about Ishmael Sofser. I heard this really about Dominic McKinley, that these were all elite 5-star defensive tackles, and none of them really panned out.
None of them took over high school football games like Richard Anderson did either, though.
I didn't see him play live, so I'm going to take your word for it. And
I mean, yes, Carr hadn't lost a game in 2 years, and they have a lot of great football players.
Carr's great.
Yes,
no argument there. I'm just saying I've had defensive tackles in the state in the last 5 years,
That's
much
fair.
less 10.
Yeah,
and they have. I need
one
to
of
see
them's on the roster right now.
One of them's on the roster right
Dom
now,
McKinley,
and
who you're
has
talking
not
about.
made the type of impact that we had been led to believe that he would. If Anderson does, fantastic.
Okay, so
I love the prospect.
You also have, and look, this is. Everyone I've talked to says Blockton coming from Auburn and Green coming from Clemson they could start, but that these freshmen, and Gerald's comes out of Georgia as the all-time sacks leader in the state. Think of all the players that have come through there.
Yeah.
So these are two kids that, yes, have high rankings, but also were very productive in high school at a high classification and beat out these transfers. When they were supposed to be in high school, these kids were early enrollees.
I'll give you the number that I want to see.
And then you've got Lamar Brown, if he ever kicks himself inside or out.
I'll give you the number I want to see. 60% of the snaps. I want to see all of the interior defensive linemen under that number. However many that is, I want to see them.
And you want to get to 5 because you want to include Dom McKinley.
I want fresh legs.
Well, they have it. If you can get to Dom McKinley, you have 5 guys.
Yeah. What's coming up at On 3 before we finish up here?
Well, I think every day people are just wondering what Easton Royal, Texas commit, number 1 receiver out of Brother Martin's up to, and Jalen Brewster, number 1 D tackle. So I think the focus is on Royal, though, in-state.
I hope to get you back before we do game day. You back for game day?
Well, yeah, but beyond that,
we'll
hang
absolutely.
out on Friday.
All right, everybody have a great weekend. Stay tuned for Hunt on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.